talk about how to present them to the customer, how to help them figure out what the right shear is for them. We'll talk about the different types of shears and any questions you have. Kind of the first fundamental that every stylist is going to want to ask you is, what's the perfect length shear for me? That's one of the first questions you get. And I always tell them, it depends. They hate that answer. Because in school, they told them, well, you want it to be about the length of the palm of your hand. Okay, so that's way too short of a shear for me. Oops, that's too short of a shear for me. Oh, that's the longest shear we make. Sorry, you don't have a shear for me. I'll find some other company. And then you have a woman with these petite, tiny little hands, and the only shear that's going to work for her is this one. It also doubles as a necklace. You wear it around your neck. Okay. But in reality, these two shears are both general styling shears. They have a 40-degree convex edge. They have an 800mm radius blade. That's a general styling shear. There's a big difference between these two shears. If the stylist does lots and lots and lots of point cutting and really nothing else, this is a wasted shear for her. She's coming in and doing this all day long. She's doing all this. And you're going to come across customers all the time that do lots of point cutting. And you're going to know this because when you do the sanding strip test, all the way, as you close the shear, it's going to work great, work great, work great, and then all of a sudden it stops working, folds over on the sanding strip. So you get this beautiful cut, and then a little piece at the end that doesn't cut at all. I always joke with them, you do a lot of point cutting, don't you? How'd you know that? Psychic. Okay. You're paying for the shear by the inch. If all you do is point cutting, this is probably a more appropriate size. Now, if you do lots of line cutting, remember that video where the hair was chasing away and she was doing that 0-degree line across the back, or line cutting across the back? Try that with this 4.5-inch shear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's nice and straight. Let's go back and fix it now. Okay, okay. Wrong tool for the job. If she's doing lots of scissor over comb technique, where she's angling the side of the hair, brings the comb in, not the right tool for the job. So helping the stylist pick the right length of shear has to do with the job. General, all-around tool is going to be between a 5 and a 6-inch shear. If they do more men's haircuts, push them more towards a 6, 6.5 inch. If they do very little men's haircut, very little line cutting, move them more towards the 5-inch shear. Every once in a while you come across a stylist who loves super tiny shears. If you come across a stylist that has a 4.5-inch shear, it's not a matter if she's going to buy a pair of shears from you that day. It's a matter of which one of the 4.5-inch shears she's going to buy from you. She can't find them anywhere. Very few companies make a 4.5-inch styling shear anymore. And again, that's measured from the tip to the start of the finger rest. When a customer is using a 4.5-inch shear, I always start a conversation with them. Hard to find those, isn't it? It's terrible. I haven't been able to find one in years. You're going to like me. I open up my case and I lay out 3 of them right there. Which one do you want? She picks them up, plays with them for a second. I'll take this one. It's the easiest sale I've ever made is on a 4.5-inch shear. Every time I come across a stylist that's using them, I sell a shear. I love it. Once you determine size, then it's a matter of fit. In my mind, every stylist in the whole world for the general styling shear needs the thumb swivel. They are doing haircut after haircut after haircut. That is hard on their bodies. It's hard on their wrist, hard on their thumb, hard on their forearm. If they can't cut, they retire and go do something different. If they use the right tool, so it's taking that pressure off, their longevity goes way up. So when I am talking to a stylist about new shears, I always start with the thumb swivel. Never fails. And then most of the time you'll hear, oh, that's scary, or no, I can't do that, or I tried a thumb swivel, I can't do it. Then I talk about some of the benefits. I can get the blade in any position I need it and still have a nice soft curve on my wrist. There's some real value in that. It takes that pressure off your wrist, helps prevent carpal tunnel, takes the pressure off your thumb, takes the pressure off your forearm. At the end of the day, you're less tired using this shear. Yeah, I know, they scare me. Then I talk about the sleeveless example I did the other day. They're getting ready to do their channel cuts down the back of the hair. She's wearing a sleeveless shirt. The first thing that comes to her mind is, did I shave or do I have deodorant marks? I don't want to show that to my customer. Well, I can just flip the shear upside down, do my channel cuts down the back. Now all of a sudden they're saying, well, let me see that. I want to try that. I took the scary out of it and made it neat. I want to try that. They get to playing with it, and that's not so bad. And then I talked to them about the fact that it takes a little time to get used to it. I always tell my customers, it takes at least a full week of doing all your haircuts to get comfortable with it. It feels a little fidgety. The lady that used to cut my hair, she wanted to try it one day. Fine. She used a longer shear. I pulled it out in a 6-inch, gave it to her, made sure it fit her right, made sure it had the right ring sizers in it. I'm in the chair. I'm looking in the mirror, and this is what I see. Shears are flipping around. I am scared to death. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to move my head really fast to try to keep up with it, or if I'm supposed to sit very, very still. She cut my hair. Took her longer than normal. She normally took about 15 minutes to get my hair done. We were about 20 minutes, 25 minutes into the haircut at that point. She had so much fun, she cut my hair again. When I left, my hair was about this long. But her first time, shears were all over the place. Second time through, she was good and stable. It was just slower. The way she was getting used to it, a couple of days of doing all of her haircuts, she would have had no problem with the shear whatsoever. Then on the other side, I had a customer who was left-handed, and she was already starting to get carpal tunnel syndrome. She knew that was the right shear for her. She bought it on payments. I think she paid it off over 3 months. I went back in at the 3-month mark. She needed to get her shears sharp. We get to talking about it. She explains to me she just barely got used to using it after 3 months. I'm like, I can't imagine. At the end of a month, I would have been calling, hey, I'd like to exercise my happiness guarantee. Come out, I want something different, or I want my money back. But she knew it was the right thing for her, so she stuck it out. It took her 3 months. That's the only customer I've ever seen take that long. With the thumb swivel, always give them homework. Doesn't matter which of the thumb swivels it is. It's difficult at first to go from palming the shear, which is where they take their thumb out of the shear and they're holding it so they're doing their comb or whatever they're doing. Then they put their hand back in. The tendency is to want to try to line your thumb up with the ring and stick it in and then go. If they just slide their thumb right up the inside, it'll just naturally position the ring where it needs to be. It's a big gyroscope. Doesn't matter what position it's in, I slide up underneath, it goes in. So I give them homework. First night, you've got this shiny new shear. You want to play with your new shear anyways. Take some of the frustration out of it. Play with it in front of the TV for an hour. Don't look. Just practice going in and out when it doesn't matter if you miss. You're not in a rush when you're watching TV. They do that through one television program. The next day when they go to work, it's no big deal. It goes right back in. That takes out a big chunk of the pain of learning how to use the thumb swivel. Now, how many thumb swivels do we have? In the right-handed, we have 3. In the Rose series. We also have one in the Diamond series, the MD10. I find that female stylists like the MR3 the best. The reason why they tend to like it the best, I have it lined up here with the MR21 behind it. See how much wider the stance is on the MR21? That will feel much more bulky in their hand when they palm it. Men tend to like this one better. It's thicker.
MR21.
Yes. Now, that's not to say that a woman won't like the MR21, and it's not to say a man won't like the MR3. Those are just generalizations. Tend to. Now, I also joke about this. I got this line from Erica out in Pennsylvania. The tri-hole is the training wheels for the thumb swivel. The tri-hole, whether it's with or without the thumb swivel, is much more stable. It really locks your hand in place. You feel like you have a lot of control. She jokes that in the just the regular tri-hole, it's for control freaks, because it is. I mean, you feel like you've got a ton of control on the shear. This is a great way to transition into a good thumb swivel, because you have the reduction in pressure on your thumb and your wrist, but you still have a lot of control. Now, anybody that will take a little bit of time and slow down can get used to a traditional thumb swivel with the two rings. This is where I start with every stylist that is looking at new shears for a general purpose styling shear, because this is what they need. They're doing lots and lots of haircuts over their life. This is the very best shear for them, is a thumb swivel. Regardless of the design, one of them is what's best for them. Now, some of them, I don't care how neat of a trick I show them. You know, I can flip that shear upside down all day long. It's just too scary. So then I move them to a good ergonomic shear. Ergonomics means that the shear is designed to be more comfortable. It's designed to match up with the way your anatomy works, the way your hand works. There's two things to think about in ergonomics. The offset of the rings. So, for instance, the MR1 is a very traditional design. Its rings are very straight up and down. If you go to an offset, they're on an angle. They're offset from each other. That will make it more comfortable in the way it lays in the hand. The other item of ergonomics is the twist in the thumb. The one on your left has no ergonomic twist to the thumb. The one on your right has an extreme ergonomic twist in the thumb. That twist helps the hand angle be better for the thumb. So this is a straight ring. Notice it makes my thumb and my wrist almost on a 90-degree angle to each other. If I do the same thing with the ergonomic twist, it greatly increases that angle. It takes a lot of pressure off of the muscles in my thumb, in the palm of my hand, and down my forearm. It takes the pressure off my forearm because my forearm is what controls the movement of my fingers. So if the thumb swivel is too scary, then the next best shear for them is a very ergonomic handle. I always start with the MR22. MR22 and the MR3 are my two best sellers. Your best seller will be whatever shear you show the most and are the most excited about. It's all about finding the right fit. But they're all general styling shears. Once I've determined I'm using a 5-inch now. Okay, you're comfortable with the 5-inch, you want to stay with the 5-inch, I'll hand them a 5.5. Oh no, that's too long. Okay, so then we'll stay with the 5-inch. Or I'm using a 5.5 now. They tend to be really comfortable with it. You get a lot of muscle memory. I had a customer, she'd never used a thumb swivel before. She bought the MR3 in a 6-inch. Thought it was the coolest thing ever. I came back into her salon about 4 months later, and I asked her, how you loving your new shear? She got this really sad look on her face. I can't be good. Let's figure out what went wrong. Let's get you in the right shear. Every time she'd go to use the shear, she'd cut herself right in between her forefinger and her middle finger. She'd put it away in her drawer, pull out her old shear, go back to work until it healed up. It'd heal up, she'd put it away, get out her new shear, try it again, cut herself right there. Put it away, go back to... She did that 4 times. Just gave up on it. Okay? We'd get to playing with it a little bit. I traded her out straight across for the 5-inch. happy as a clam, didn't cut herself anymore. If you have a situation where you end up discounting a shear because you took it back, they sell fast. And when all you have to do is walk in and say, I got a couple of deals today. And I don't know what it is about stylists. It's kind of like my wife when you say there's a sale on shoes. Doesn't matter if she needs new shoes or not. She wants to look. You walk into a salon and you tell the stylist, hey, I've got a couple of really good deals today. Explain the story. They want to see. The whole salon is coming over to see. It may or may not be the right shear for them. Now they're all looking at shears. General styling shears, there's a couple others. We also have the MR4, which is a fairly straight ringed shear, but it's still the identical blade as the MR22 or the MR5. Okay. If you compare these shears, the blades are the same shape, the handles are the same design, except the thumb is twisted. That's the difference between the MR4, the MR5, and the MR22, is the degree of thumb twist. Other than that, they're the identical shear. That's why we have so many different designs, is finding the right fit for the customer. You'll get a couple of common objections to our shears. One of the most common one I hear is they're really heavy. It's all about education. There's a reason why our shears are heavier. It's a quality issue. I'm sorry, our shears are a much higher quality than what you're using now. Because of that, the steel is heavier. You have a heavier, denser quality steel, it's going to feel heavier in your hand. Most of the time that education will be enough, oh, that makes sense. And if I'm wrong, the first 30 days, call me back. I'll come out, we'll find something that fits you better, or I'll give you your money back. In most of our shears, every half-inch increment is $50 more expensive. Hence, $100 an inch. If that education doesn't work, it's too heavy, then I switch to my answer shear. My answer shear for my shears are too heavy is the MR7. And I talked to him about it. Well, I've got an answer for that. It's got a skinnier blade. It's got a little less metal on it. This shear feels a lot lighter. I'll pull this out, I'll hand it to him. Wow, that's so much lighter, that's perfect. Now, I have since weighed them. My scale did not have enough significant figures for there to be any difference between a 6-inch MR7 and a 6-inch MR22. MR7 is also a great answer shear for customers that love the look of the MR6. The MR6 is a bamboo leaf blade. It has an exaggerated radius cutting surface. So instead of an 800 millimeter, it's a 700 millimeter radius. What that allows it to do is slide cut on dry hair. It makes a great all-around dry finish shear. Anytime they're doing their finish work, they're doing framing around the face, they're going in and doing their point cutting at the end, they're slide cutting to clean up lines and stuff. It is an amazing tool for that. If they buy it as an all-around styling shear, they will not like it. They will be calling you back and want their money back. When you cut with an exaggerated radius on wet hair and you do a blunt cut, it'll tend to push away. When we talk about flattening the radius on a flat home, it's not only that it's flat now, it's not an 800 millimeter radius. If you have too flat, it'll push the hair. If you have too exaggerated, it'll push the hair. 800 millimeters is magic when you're working on wet hair. If you work with that exaggerated radius, it'll push. It won't feel good. Now, if they use it for its intended purpose, it's phenomenal. They love it. I use my MR7 primarily as an answer shear. It's an answer to too heavy. It's an answer to I love the look of the MR6. Now, there is nothing wrong with selling it as this is the MR7. It's a great all-around styling shear. How do you like this one? It goes back to my preference. I start with a thumb swivel. Then I go to the most ergonomic shear. Then I go to the next most ergonomic shear. I use the MR7 as an answer. Nothing wrong with just selling it as a general styling shear right up front. Camel is the bump down the length of the handle.
But not all of them have it, right?
Not all of them have it. Some of them have a double camel. They'll have a camel on this blade and one on this blade. It helps your fingers slide into place. It's a comfort issue. Some people like it. Some people don't. The other thing that some people have differing opinions on is removable finger rest versus permanent finger rest. People that love permanent finger rest tend to really dislike removable finger rest, and vice versa. They seem to be very polarized on it. I have a set pattern that I go through, unless they tell me something specific. If they tell me they're looking for a dry finish shear, or they're looking for this particular functionality, okay, then I'll tailor it to that. But normally it's a elimination, thumb swivel. Okay. If thumb swivel seems interesting to them, I pull out all the thumb swivels. Got the slim line, the wide stance. You've got the tri-hole, the diamond series. You can even go into texturizer with a thumb swivel. Once we've eliminated that thumb swivel is not right for them, then I move on to the MR22, the most ergonomic, then the MR5. Now, if they tell me specifics like I am looking to spend X amount of dollars, if they're telling me they want to spend $250, we're not starting with a thumb swivel. I will talk to them about payment plans. I can bring it into payments, make it so you can afford this year if you want to do it that way. But if they're fixed, I can only spend $250, I'm wasting my time showing them the thumb swivel. It's too much money for them. Of all of our shears, most of them are general styling shears. They have an 800mm radius with a 40-degree convex edge. They vary in range, in length. Length makes a big difference. We talk about the 6-shear perfect set, and we'll talk about that before we get done today. But one of the tools in there is a longer shear. If they do lots of line cutting across the back, they want a longer shear. They do lots of scissor over comb, they want a longer shear. If they don't do those two things very often, this is a waste of money for them. Now I have customers that do nothing but point cut, but have to own a 7.5-inch shear. And I'm very open with them. I can tell you do lots of point cutting. This isn't the most logical tool for them. You know, you can use a 5 or 5.5-inch shear and save yourself $200. No, I want this one. Okay, I tried. Try to save you $200. Could have got a second pair of shears. If this is what they want, give it to them, as long as it's the right tool for the job. If they want a dry finish shear, and they're saying, I want the MR22 and a 7.5-inch, don't sell it to them. It's not the right tool for the job. They won't be happy with it. Of all of our shears, the bulk of them are general styling shears. The MR1, general styling shear, comes in one length, looks like this. Has straight rings with a slight ergonomic twist to the thumb. This is the classic Japanese style shear. This is one of the original designs of a Japanese style shear. MR3 is a thumb swivel, general styling shear. MR4, no ergonomic in the thumb twist, slight offset in the rings. It is a general styling shear. MR5, medium ergonomic twist on the thumb, general styling shear. MR7, I don't think I know where it was, I keep putting it down. General styling shear. Offset rings, no ergonomic twist. MR8, it's a general styling shear. It has a finger thumb adjustment on it. The MR8 is a great transition starter shear to take a barber into a good quality shear. Another great one for that is the RP6. They come in longer lengths, but they're not as expensive. Barbers, in a lot, if you were to make a generalization, are a little cheap and a little tight. A lot of times you'll find barbers that spent $30 to purchase their scissors. Had them sharpened a year and a half ago and they cut great. And you can hear it when they're opening and closing their scissors. It sounds like someone's rubbing two bricks together. Okay. Now, most of their customers don't care because they're in getting their hair cut every 2 weeks. Who cares if they have split ends? Okay. Sometimes it's hard to convince a barber that this $600 shear is the right shear for him. Some of them, on the other hand, yes, I'm on board. And I've got barbers that have great quality shears, and they are all on board with getting the right tool for the job. If they're tight, if they're cheap, they don't want to spend the money, the MR8 or the RP6 are great transitions. It's not as big of a leap in money. You do, a $300 shear on payments for them, all of a sudden it's doable. You can overcome a lot of that resistance. MR18 and the MR19 are both general styling shears. They have no ergonomic twist of the thumb. The difference on those two is the camel. The tri-hole, the MR20, general styling shear, but it has 3 holes. Use it just like normal. Ring finger goes in, pinky goes on, and the middle finger goes in. A lot more control. Feels a lot more stable as they're cutting. One complaint that people that don't like this shear have is it feels thick when I'm palming it. So anytime I'm talking to a stylist about a pair of shears, I suggest that try palming with it. Try cutting with it. Try doing your palm to palm. Try doing your point cutting. Try the different things that you're going to do with that shear and see how it feels. That's why we have so many different shears, is because everybody's a little different. Everyone has a little different anatomy. It's all about the comfort. You're going to be using this tool all day long, every day. That's the Rose Series general styling shears. Let's talk about the exceptions. We'll start with texturizers. Texturizers come in a variety of tooth patterns. Here are the extremes. We have the chunker on the right and the fine blend on the left. Okay. Now, if you take and calculate out how much surface area is making contact on the cutting blade, and you compare it between the two shears, you will find that it's almost the exact same amount of hair that it's taking out. It's the pattern it's taking the hair out. The chunker is taking out a big chunk, then a little gap. Big chunk, then a little gap. Big chunk, little gap. Little chunk, tiny gap. Little chunk, tiny gap. But the total amount of surface that's touching tooth on cutting surface is almost the same. So what you're really looking at is what is the look on the hair. The finer the blend, or the closer the teeth are together and the smaller the teeth are, the softer the appearance is going to be. Makes it really light. They call this a fine blend texturizer. Big, thick chunkers with big, wide gaps normally only come in low quality, because no one who manufactures high-quality shears wants to make that style because there's nothing but problems with them. They are very prone to that tooth passing over the cutting blade and grabbing. It's hard to fix when it happens. If a texturizer is too loose when it's being used, it will tend to get torqued, and then as soon as it gets torqued, those teeth will cross over, it'll grab. You got a mess. It's like that one that we were fixing for you, Courtney. Mm-hmm. That's probably what happened. It was probably a little loose. She torqued it, it grabbed really hard, and the more she tried it, the worse it got. Having this narrow gap between the teeth significantly improves that. One, it feels a lot better just when you're using it. It's also a lot less prone to grabbing. Now, you still have to keep your tension set right on it, and remember, your tension on your texturizers is a little tighter. It should just barely start to move when you let go of it. it also does another thing. Because that gap is narrow, it gives you a softer look. Normally what they're using that chunker for is they're taking a comb up the back of the hair and they're cutting as they go up. And they're taking weight out of the back of the hair. Then when they get done with that, they grab their styling shears and go back in and they clean up all the lines that they left. Because it left those really blocky straight lines. With the 9T, because it's got that narrow gap, when you use that same technique, it's a lot softer look. You may not have to do any cleanup. You may do some, but it definitely won't be near as much as that wide tooth, wide gap. The other thing this shear does, when the stylist does their point cutting, they get all their shape when they come in and they do their point cutting. And they cut their knuckle here and they cut their knuckle here, and they all have the scars to show for it and they're proud of it. Instead, she can get her shape, bring the hair up to a quarter, half an inch to the end, and do 2 blunt cuts. It'll give them the same look and feel without cutting off their knuckles. It's way faster. They did 2 cuts with their chunker instead of 20 cuts with their styling shear. This is one of those shears that it's much easier to sell once they try it. Now, if they're looking for a chunker, they'll buy it just because it's a chunker and it's different. But when you're selling it based off the uniqueness of the fact that you can use it as a point cutting shear, they've got to try it. This is the shear you want to sell to every stylist in every high volume salon. Between this and an MR22, their life is so much easier. Their MR22 is super comfortable in their hand. This shear speeds up their life. The more haircuts they can get through in a day, the more money they make. In-salon discount on the MR9T is $350. If you can pick up an extra $20, $30 a day because of faster haircuts, and you can save 1 sharpening on your shears a year, it doesn't take very long to pay for it. And that's what I tell them. Then in the texturizers, you have a myriad of different blends. Everything from the fine through the mediums all the way up to the chunker. That's all personal taste. And a lot of times it's not so much the taste of what the amount of teeth and the pattern of the teeth is. It'll come down to, well, I like the handles on that one a little better, and it's pretty similar. Okay? The medium blend shear is a sin cover-up shear. When I end up with too many lines because I didn't do a good haircut, I go in with a medium blend shear and I can clean all that up. There's some other things you can do with it as well, just as far as thinning out the hair, lightening up the hair so it'll fall a little better. But a lot of times it's used as a sin tool, cleaning up my sins. Whatever you're excited and passionate about is what you're going to sell. We have a distributor who believes that stylists won't pay rose series prices. Because of that, he primarily sells rose petal shears. They're a little less money. When he walks in, he primarily shows rose petal shears. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. John Mulgraff is a great example of mentor faith. He came in and he was a sponge. He soaked it all in. We talked about the quality of diamond series. We talked about the fact that stylists will buy diamond series. Guess what? One of the first sales he made, diamond series. Sold 2 shears to a stylist. One of them was the diamond series. Did it on a 6-month payment plan, and he must have made close to $2,000 on the deal. When I open up my case, I've got enough experience. I can tend to tell you what shear they're going to gravitate towards, what they're going to like the best. MR22. Okay? That's what I'm going to show them. I'll show them the MR22. Yeah, it's okay. They'll reach over and grab the pink one. Oh, I love this. I'll sneak out the ring sizers on the MR22. I'll put pink ones in it. Here, I think you'll like this one. Try this one. Oh, it's perfect. Okay, because it's the right shear with the right color in it. You get those 2 things put together, and it's hard not to sell a shear. Another thing that comes up all the time. Someone will want to look at shears. First question out of their mouth. What's your most expensive shear? More than happy to oblige. Okay? I go out to my car. I don't carry it in my case. I'll be right back. You've got to see it. Be right back. I don't carry this one with me in this stuff. I go out to my car. I come back in. It's in the presentation box. Okay? Make a big deal about it. I pull out the shear. I open and close it a couple times. And then, Courtney, come on over here.
Great.
I'll hand it to her. Drop this. And now she's saying, well, how much is it? Full retail, $3,300. In salon discount, it's only $28.50. And she starts opening and closing it. She's like, oh, this is nice. And then she's looking at it. She's like, oh, it's so pretty. Okay. So now, and the whole salon is now gathered around. Customers in chairs are going, $3,300?
Here,
For a
here going up.
$3,300?
I thought they went up to 5,000.
Yes, and it's a steal of a deal. Okay. And then I talk about the Damascus steel and how it's a similar technology as the samurai sword. How it's a pattern folded and forged blade. It is, the steel quality is so strong. A normal Japanese style shear has a 40-degree convex edge on it. If you put a sharper angle on it, it won't stay sharp as long. This shear has a 55-degree angle sword blade. It is literally like cutting with razors. All of a sudden, it makes a lot of sense to them. Not everyone can afford $2,850 for a shear, even on payments. They're not there yet. They're like, well, what else do you have? I have this shear's little brother. It's made with V10 gold steel. Incredible quality steel. Your shear that you have in your hand right there, that's probably a 440C. That's here. My lowest quality steel in my shears is 440C with cobalt and molybdenum added to it. That puts me on par or just above Nick's and Hikari's. Oh, I know Nick and Hikari. Those are good shears. Then you've got the V10 gold steel, and then you've got the Damascus steel, which is the pattern folded, forged V10 gold steel. It's up here. So it's right here. This is where yours is. It is the exact same design. Everything's identical to this. Courtney, come feel this one. Tell me if this one feels any different. This shear feels nice. Well, now we're down to $1,800 in salon discount. It's a big discount. Feels great, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes Courtney's like, huh, that sounds great, feels great. $1,800 a little rich for my blood. That's okay. MR22. Same ergonomic twist to the handle. Great quality steel. $435. Sold! Now, it's a little used car-ish. Now, they got a great quality shear at a great price. The closest competitor to the MR22 is the Hikari New Cosmo line. At about double the price. And not quite as good a steel. And they don't have the 30-day happiness guarantee on it. You bought it, congratulations, I hope you enjoy it. You open up the package, you cannot return it. A couple of the other exceptions. When you walk up to the Diamond Series, the MD5 is comparable to the MR6 in tool. It's a dry slide shear. It has an exaggerated radius or a bamboo leaf blade. Except it's made with V10 gold steel. It's got a little more horsepower, a little nicer quality. Anytime you sell an MR6 or an MD5 as a general styling shear, set the money aside in savings, you're going to need it. If you sell it as a dry finish shear, no worries. Our shears, you compare them to anything else on the market of comparable quality, we blow them away on price. Even at full retail, we're still a little below. You take the in-salon discounts, and it's a giant gap in price. Sometimes it's too good to be true, and you have to really work with the stylist to convince them that, okay, yeah, I'm just getting a really good deal. He is crazy. the difference between full retail and salon discount. When you're in the salon, you can sell for full retail. There's no problem with that. If you understand and believe in your heart the value of the shears. These shears, selling this shear for $4.85, which is full retail, its closest competitor is the Hikari New Cosmo, and I think its price is between $600 and $700. I could easily sell this shear at full retail and not have any qualms about it whatsoever. My customers would have no qualms about it and feel like they're getting a great price. I'm giving them an amazing deal. And we sell shears online, full retail, all the time. Now, from time to time, we do have a weekly special. Those will never go below in-salon discount. Occasionally, they're at in-salon discount. We will never underprice you, ever. Let's talk about the classy shears. I wish this wasn't true. It's pretty. It's a big sales point. Yes, I looked at you, Courtney. And WL won't edit that out. I have had customers that they see the shiny blue shear. It doesn't matter what length it is, it doesn't matter what fit it is, I want it. I have to have it. Okay? Sometimes this isn't the right shear for her. And right now our classy shears, one color, one length, one fit. I have some solutions. They're not quite as cool. Okay? I'll take the blue sparkle ring sizers and put them in the MR22 in a 5.5 inch shear, which is the right fit for them. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. But I know my customer is going to be satisfied. And let me tell you, you build a lot of trust with a customer when they're trying to hand you $300 and you say no thanks. The question is, why is a coated shear normally code for garbage shear? A lot of manufacturers use a really low grade product and they coat it. Now, they sell a lot of those because it really appeals to the artistic side of the stylist. It's decorative, it's pretty. It's really common for a stylist to be wearing the same color that they're cutting with because they like that color. If a stylist is dressed all in pink, do not take them blue ring sizers in a shear to have them try. Stupid. Green ones in. It also tends to be a shear that they struggle with. They have this inferior quality shear that it doesn't stay sharp as well, it doesn't perform as well. They're fighting with it. The other thing they'll do is a lot of times they'll refer to the coating as titanium and imply it to shears titanium. Well, titanium, they use titanium on parts in NASA. It must be good quality. Oh, yeah, I'll take it. Okay? The lies that stylists have been told to get them to buy product is horrendous. These shears sharpen themselves. The hair sharpens this shear. The shears never get dull. It's a left-handed shear when it's not. The list goes on and on. Sometimes that'll take you a little bit of effort to get past. You have to build that relationship, that trust. But they have been lied to, abused, and beat up. With the coated shears, putting the right accent of ring sizer in it really makes the shear pop. Same thing with all the rest of the shears. When you have them in your case, put ring sizers in them. Pay attention when you hand the shear to the stylist. When I have a customer who's got big old man hands like me, I'm probably going to pull the ring sizers out before I hand it to them. I'm probably not going to leave pink ring sizers in it. Okay? Little things like that make a big difference. Most stylists have lots of pair of shears. If they only have one pair of shears, that stylist needs a new pair of shears because they need a backup. My zipper's open, fall out. They also want to know what's the right shear for me. What do I need? They need 6 shears. They need a workhorse, shear that they're going to be doing most of their haircuts with, I recommend MR3. At least one of the thumb swivels. You can mix and match them to make it the right set for them. I typically start with the MR3. Typically in a 5.5 inch shear. It's a great all-around shear. Takes all the pressure off their wrist, their thumb, their forearm. This is what they're using all day long, every day. They want this to be comfortable. Another great substitution here, let's go to a Damascus shear. Nothing wrong with turning the 6-shear set into a diamond set. You can also do the MD10, which is the Diamond Series thumb swivel. Phenomenal shear. Feels great. They need a long shear. This particular kit is kitted out with an MR5 and a 6.5. I typically kit it out with an MR22 and a 7.5. They're going to use this for their line cutting across the back, so they don't have to do a bunch of cuts. They're also going to use it for scissor over comb technique. The back. It also makes a great backup to their workhorse. They drop their workhorse. The best thing to do when you drop your shear, if it lands open, leave it open, put it away, call your friendly Diamond Rose Shears distributor to come out and take care of them. They'll be out in 24 hours. Pull out your backup, use your backup. When you do use your backup that's a long shear, be careful you don't cut your knuckles off, cut your finger off, it hurts. Then they need a dry finish shear. MR6 is a great selection for that. If you're going to make it a diamond kit, it'd be an MD5. Typically, if they like short shears, I'll give them a little shorter dry finish shear. If they tend to like longer shears, I'll give them a longer dry finish shear. But this allows them to do all their dry finish work, all their cleanup, most of the work that makes a haircut look like a great haircut happens at the end. This is the right tool for that. When they try this tool, they will love it. Then they need 3 texturizers. They need the fine blend. I recommend the MR14. It is super fine. This gives them that really nice, light, soft look. Cleans things up really nicely. Then they need a medium blend. Either the MR10T, which this happens to be, or an 11T are great examples of those. This is kind of the general texturizing, take some weight out, clean up lines, just kind of an all-around texturizing shear. Then the final one, what's it going to be? Chunker, the MR9T. Every stylist needs an MR9T.
Is there a chunker for the diamond?
There is. The MD 6T. And it has the same tooth pattern, but it has an exaggerated radius cutting blade.
So 700 millimeters?
So it's 700 millimeter, made of V10 gold steel. It leaves the same cut, but it's got just a little more horsepower when you're working on dry hair. MR19 works for taking weight out like a normal chunker. You do scissor over comb, take the weight out. They can also use it in lieu of point cutting, do the 2 blunt cut. Great time saver, also a great tool for pulling out weight. When we sell them this, we include the 6-shear case with it. This has got a lot of great functions. One, it holds the 6 shears. It also holds combs. It's got spots for cards, has a handle on it. They can take it with them everywhere they go. It's really handy. If you leave your shears at work, I always talk to my clients about this, especially when they have nicks in their shears, and they say they didn't drop them. If you leave your shear out on your station, and you leave, when you come back, who knows what happened to it? Keep it safe. If a client is not buying all 6 today, but they're sold, they're convinced, I need all 6 shears. I sell them shear number 1, shear number 1 and shear number 2, whatever the combination is. I give them a 6-shear case at the same time. When I sell a shear, it comes in a case with my card in it. They'll get the shear, and then over here I'll put their tension control tool and I'll put the ring sizers in if they want. This is what I give them. Your cost on this case is $8. Your cost on the tension control tool is $2 or $3, and your cost on the ring sizers is $1. You're still coming out okay. If they want, I'll upgrade them to the 6-shear case and only charge them $35 for it. Or, this is my new favorite case. I'll sell them the 9-shear case. They already have a couple of shears. They're going to want a couple of more. This is an unbelievable case. When a stylist asks, well, what do I need? I say, every stylist needs 6 shears. Great, I've got 10 pair. Okay. They almost always have 1 or 2 texturizers in that group, and the rest of them are all general styling shears, 800 millimeter radius, all between a 5 and 6 inch shear. They really have 6 of the exact same tool. You have to really walk them through the purpose of each shear. Some other cases that are real popular. We have the fold over snap case, holds 6 shears. It's got a pouch in the back, has a harness that you can hook it around. You can put it over your shoulder. They can have their shears right at their side. The lid folds over backwards, has a strap to hold it in place. Be right here. Okay. One thing you need to be aware of about cases. State board prohibits the use of cases. You're not supposed to have them on your station. You're not supposed to be using a case because you cannot sanitize the inside of a case. Stylists all understand that. They all still know they need to use a case. Okay. If you're teaching a class at a school, I always tell them, okay, this is not the school talking. This is not the right answer on the state board test. You need to have your shear in a case. You need to keep it safe. Any reason you need to stop and sanitize your shear, you've got an outbreak in the salon, you are locking the doors and you are disinfecting the entire salon, and you're probably got the itches even though you don't have anything. Take good care of your shears. Not the right answer on the state board exam. This is for your Western people. Okay? When you're in Houston, it'll clip on your belt. It's got a strap you can go over your shoulder. You can put a whole bunch of different shears in it. You
Colt
can
45 in there.
get a Colt 45 in there for you. You can pull it apart. You can hook the rings to this. You can wear it around your side. You can slide brushes through the loops. You can slip combs into it. Apron case. It comes with chain, so you can attach it around your back. The chain is an extension. Not all your customers are skinny. Don't say it that way. You have another apron case. Now, I'll make you a deal. Actually, a bet. Let's make a bet. You can't sell these if you don't show them. If you show them, I bet you can sell them. Exactly. If you build it, they will come. If you build the dreams. We have some other inline 2-shear fold over and the same one with the snap. Then we have the diamond case. What's the cost of the diamond? Is it $30? $35? When you're selling a diamond series shear, I recommend putting it in this. I'm selling a $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 shear. I cut into my profit by $30, $35. They're pretty happy. Okay. When I talk to my customers about the difference between Rose series and Diamond series,
Yeah.
here's the example I use because they can all get their arms wrapped around this. Our Rose series is like the Lexus in the GS and the LS class. Upper echelon Lexus. Very comfortable, great quality shear. Okay. Rose Petal is like the ES and the IS. Great quality vehicle, not quite as fancy. When you go to the Diamond series, it's like going to a Bugatti. We have all these different models to get the right fit for the stylist, for the job. The Diamond series are broken out the same way. Skip the Damascus. The most ergonomic is the thumb swivel, which is the MD10. So that has all the advantages of a thumb swivel, plus it has V10 gold steel. Then you go to the ergonomic shear, which is the MD3. Super comfortable shear. That's the little brother to the Damascus that I showed you. Then you go to an MD4. Appearance and the way it fits in your hand, that's most comparable to an MR7. But it's V10 gold steel. The MD5 is the dry finish shear. So it has exaggerated radius on it, so the bamboo leaf blade, and it's made with V10 gold. MD6T is comparable to the MR9T. It's a chunker, except better quality steel, and it has an exaggerated radius blade. That exaggerated radius will make it perform a little better in the dry hair. The MD7T is a medium blend, most comparable to
14.
the 10T.
He's got his wood. I see your wooden mallets in there. You,
Hey,
We
I've
have
seen him
people
on the
who
golf
do
cart.
that.
He's swinging away. Oh, did we get that on video?